Welcome back to this series where we speak with public leaders and thinkers from across the Harvard and global policy ecosystem, unpacking lessons in leadership, impact, and service. Today's guest is Sir Robert Buckland, former UK Secretary of State for Justice and a senior barrister with over 20 years of experience in public life. From shaping national policy to standing at the heart of major political change, Sir Robert brings a deep insight into what it takes to lead through complexity with principle, clarity, and resilience. So whether you're looking to start your journey in public service or leading through change at a senior level or potentially looking to enter public service later in your career, this conversation offers a behind-the-scenes look at leadership, law, and the evolving role of institutions in today's world. We hope you enjoy this conversation, and let's dive in. So welcome back to this very exciting series. I have Sir Robert here with us today. So Sir Robert, I know before we get into some of the questions, you've had a 2-year experience here in Harvard as a part of the fellowship program. And I know we're reaching the end of the experience. So maybe the first question for you is, how has the Harvard experience been for you at this stage of your career? What have you taken away from it? And what are you looking forward to the most post this experience as well?
Well, thank you, Shuwel, and thanks for having me. It couldn't have come at a better time, I think, in my career, because whilst I'd left government, I was still an active backbencher in Parliament. I was chairing a select committee on Northern Ireland, and having a link here to the US and US academia seemed to be a very logical step. I've been developing an interest in the future of justice and its interaction with artificial intelligence, and indeed I wrote my position paper before we'd heard of ChatGPT. So I was ahead of the curve. 2 years later, I've just finished my second paper, which I hope to be published soon by Harvard Kennedy School. And I have to say that it's been a most stimulating and learning experience for me.
Amazing. So thank you so much for this. And I think hopefully for the people watching this video, this really demonstrates the wide caliber of talent and leaders that you can learn from when you're within the Harvard ecosystem. And it's actually leaders like Sir Robert that this is the reason why we wanted to start videos like this, to really expand the network of what we have within the Harvard ecosystem to a much wider audience as well. So as already mentioned in the introduction, we have questions for Sir Robert for people at different stages of their career. So the first question for you, Sir Robert, is around people who are maybe in the early stages of their career and they wanted to enter public life, whether it's politics or some form of government. What would you recommend for those with that interest, and maybe they're 18, 19 or 21 post-university? How could they enter public life and how can they get involved in the best way?
Well, I think getting involved means that you've got to have a passion for causes. So you've got to have certain things that you care about. It might be the environment. It might be poverty. It might be opportunity and entrepreneurship. It might be a whole range of things. It might be foreign affairs and Britain's place in the world. If you care deeply about that, then you've got lots of options to get involved in public life, through pressure groups or non-governmental organisations, or indeed getting involved in party politics, as I did when I was a student and indeed just before I became an undergraduate. And there are lots of ways that you can channel your enthusiasm and your passion in a way that's positive. Politics is all about getting stuff done. And I think if you remember that at the outset, then you can hold true to your beliefs and through that achieve great things.
Amazing. And on that theme of getting things done, so let's say we fast forward a few years. So there's a young graduate who's now into their career. There's an element where you enter your career and maybe you're transitioning into leadership or starting to lead for the first time, whether it's your own business, a large organization, or within government. During those moments, there can be a period of polarization or competing interests. And of course, with your well-regarded political career, you've also been through moments of polarization and competing interests as well. So from those moments of your career, it'd be great to reflect on some of those more tougher moments. And also, what advice would you give for people who are really in the middle where there's competing ideas and visions and you're still having to deliver and get things done?
Yeah, look, I went through that in my 20s and 30s where, I was a county councillor and an active practicing barrister. To juggle those commitments, it was very difficult. Demands of work were very stringent and sacrifices had to be made. And the same in my 30s when I was a very busy practitioner and I was nursing the seat that I won in 2010. I was able to ride both horses with a very supportive family network and a hell of a lot of energy. You need a lot of energy if you're going to really do all these things. It's doable. The pressure is immense. Sometimes you do have to make sacrifices. There is no doubt that when I look back, there were a lot of opportunities that I wasn't wasn't able to take up because of sheer pressure of time. But if you're driven and you're motivated enough to want to make it in public life, you're going to do this. And there's no other recipe or no other prescription than being well organized, prioritizing, making sure that in no part of your life are things being left to fall away, or you're not devoting your fullest attention, for example, to your professional work. But it can be done. I think the problem is sometimes self-doubt, where you really doubt your own capability to do this. But I think that with energy, you can achieve huge, huge things.
What you spoke about at the beginning in terms of working on AI before AI became a big thing. And we speak about the experience of being in an institution like Harvard as well. And with the experience that you gained across extremely historic institutions, also in the UK and in other areas, and also in your recent appointment as well. These institutions, what's the role that these institutions can play in a very fast changing environment because of AI, because of regulation, having to keep up with technology, with also demographic shifts as well? Being in an institution like Harvard, where of course at the moment Harvard is also in the news for its own reasons as well. So where do these institutions play, whether it's in politics or education or other areas, and what role can they have in the future?
Okay, look, I think that's a really pertinent question, bearing in mind that the pace and scale of quantum computing and AI means that people's expectations as to decision making, as to the way in which we interact with each other and with society are going to change. This isn't just another bolt-on IT change. This is a complete revolution in the way we will live our lives. And that will affect all aspects of public service, the law, politics, medicine, you name it. It's going to be affecting it. It's happening now. I think that the best advice I can give about institutions is that they've endured, and they've endured for a reason. It's because they've worked for many, many generations. They've worked for many, many people, and they contain a sort of institutional memory, which I think is a really important check and balance against the shock of the new. You know, I'm all for innovation, I'm all for change, but change without a sound foundation, not knowing what we're changing from, I think is quite an alarming and worrying prospect. You know, as human beings, uncertainty is something that we don't particularly like. We like to know more or less, you know, the lines within which we operate, the path that we're going to tread, the lie of the land. And I think institutions, whether they're parliament, whether they're, say, my new role in the church, whether it's great universities here and elsewhere in the world, all have an important role to play to just remind us about where we've come from as much as where we are going. And that's why I think that sense of continuity and, dare I say, tradition, I'm a great believer in meaningful tradition, is a reminder of the human experience and who we are.
Super inspiring words, Robert. And I think that's actually a great way to close. Maybe the final question for you, for anyone that's watching this video, and I for sure know that they've been inspired with some of the messages that you've been sharing and the experiences that you've already had to the experience here at Harvard. Any closing words for anyone watching this video, or something for them to keep in mind for the future? And also, in case they wanted to learn more about you, I know you're an avid poster across all social media as well. Where could they contact you or continue to follow more information that you share?
Well, I've still got a website, a former MP website at www.robertbuckland.co.uk, but I'm on X, I'm on Blue Sky, I'm on Insta. You can easily find me there. I'm posting quite regularly, and on LinkedIn as well. So if people want to link up with me, then they're absolutely free to do so. I think the message I have for people is your greatest challenger is yourself. But having self-doubt and having that sort of imposter syndrome, as I call it, is actually a very, very useful ally, because it spurs you on to be your best, to be at your best, and to perform at your best. And I think always having that sort of check within yourself about, am I really able to do this? Am I going to do this well? How can I make this better? How can I improve? I think is a hugely important part of successful lives and careers. You know, you're getting up every day and you're thinking, how can I improve? How can I get better? What more can I learn today? And, you know, I hope that I will carry on, you know, into the next chapter of my life, still learning. And that concept of lifelong learning is something I've really picked up here at Harvard, and I will continue to do in my other walks of life.
Fantastic. I mean, lifelong learning is one of the reasons why we wanted to start videos like this. So to be able to share your experience with the wider audience, Sir Robert, hopefully that also conveys to our audience the type of experiences that you can have within this ecosystem, and the reason why we wanted to start videos like this, to really share this wisdom and 20 plus years of insights to others, for them to take this also to another level. So Sir Robert, on behalf of the audience, on behalf of everyone at Harvard that has engaged with you, thank you so much for this video opportunity, and look forward to hopefully staying in touch and continuing to support you in your career, and also hopefully vice versa. So thank you so much.
Well, sure. Thanks very much for having me.